Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'd just like to ask the Minister, if I may, to stay on stage. Good to see you. Good to see you. Because actually, we've got a very special thing to share with you right now. As many of you know, Change Now is the official celebration of the 10-year anniversary of the Paris Agreement. And as the Minister will well know, one of the hardest things to negotiate in terms of the Paris Agreement was Article 6. And in fact, that was only concluded some years ago in Glasgow. So we've got a very specific announcement that the Minister is going to make alongside, and I'd like to welcome to the stage, Stéphane Haller, who is the CEO of Reforest Action. Welcome, Stéphane. Oh.
Allez, parfait. Ah oui, parce qu'il y avait les trucs hauts. C'est comme vous voulez. Maintenant qu'on est ici. Donc c'est moi qui commence ou... Voilà. So thank you very much, and thank you, Stéphane Haller, to be here. To achieve net zero emissions by 2050 and keep a limit to 1.5 degree temperature rise within reach, the science is very clear on the fact that reducing our emissions must be the absolute priority. But as companies and governments reduce their emission, there comes a point where reducing emission is either no longer possible or extremely costly. This is where carbon credits come in to reach the final mile towards net zero. But while carbon credits are no substitute for emission reduction, high integrity carbon markets can also facilitate the achievement and accelerate the achievement of the Paris Agreement. In this context, I believe that the final agreement reached in COP29 in Baku on Article 6 of the Paris Agreement mark a new beginning for carbon markets. In COP29, 197 parties, that is, all the countries that are around the world, included the United States, including the European Union as a whole, agreed to, within the UN framework, on a robust set of principles that ensures high levels of transparency and environmental integrity. This agreement comes after a period in which carbon credits have faced heavy criticism due to their lack of integrity and fraud, and this has caused the market to crash and to weaken what can be a very useful tool to reduce emissions globally. I believe the Paris Agreement credited mechanism developed under Article 6.4 will complement existing standards and serve as a new global reference for high integrity carbon credit. We believe that alongside governments, companies have a key role to play to achieve carbon neutrality. More and more companies have taken a commitment to achieve net zero by 2050, sometimes before 2050, 2040, 2045. And they have set obligations for large companies to align their strategy within the objectives of the Paris Agreement. In this context, carbon credits can play a key role in order for companies to reach this final mile of decarbonization. On the occasion of the 10 years anniversary of the Paris Agreement, we call for a Paris to practice moment for concrete implementation of those principles. In those challenging times, it is also crucial to show that we can cooperate globally with clear multilateral rules. We call all actors committed to accelerate mitigation efforts to adopt high integrity practices in their use of carbon credits, considering both the demand and the supply sides. We also believe it would be useful to work towards the progressive harmonization of standards towards the ambition laid out in the Article 6.4 regulations. That's why we are launching today the pledge for a coalition for Paris-aligned and high-integrity use of carbon credits. It is based on two core principles. The first principle is that decarbonization first. Actors commit to use carbon credits as a complement while following a net zero target and committing to a net zero target. Secondly, actors buy high integrity carbon credits that are aligned with the Article 6.4 ambition and standards that can help them to accelerate their decarbonization, that can help them to take some commitments in front of their employees, of their supply chain, of their customers. So it enhances the level of decarbonization they are delivering. In this context, I would like to congratulate the following companies for adhering to this pledge on carbon markets, in particular Beko, Capgemini, Française des Jeux, Lidl, Schneider Electric. With this participation, we have a wide and representative diversity of companies, and we have the support of a fund with Ardian, retail with Lidl, industry with Schneider Electric, and service with Capgemini and Française des Jeux. These companies will be supported by key actors from carbon markets, including Adriata, Climate Impact Partners, EcoAct, EcoTree, Emergent Climate, France Vallée, Yeta, La Belle Forêt, Reforest Action, Stock CO2, CISFarm, CNULD, and Remoral. I now give the floor back to our moderators who will introduce the next speakers.
Thank you very much, Madame la Ministre. Thank you for your nice words, and thank you for introducing this pledge, which, to my mind, is a change maker, because it highlights the importance of going further than carbon emissions reductions, but going to the next step, which is creating carbon sinks through the usage of carbon credits. And I've got a concern, which is today, for obvious reasons, a number of companies, they prioritize the carbon reduction, which is fair and normal and necessary, but then they wait to end this process before investing into the creation of carbon sinks through the insetting and offsetting markets. And this is a concern to me, Madame la Ministre, because we will not reach the Paris Agreement with this approach. We will be far too late. And even the IPCC tells us on and on and on and again that we need to run the two in parallel. So this pledge is a good reminder of this. And this roundtable is especially significant because it's about unlocking the synergies between the three Rio Conventions. And the three Rio Conventions are on climate, on biodiversity, and on land restoration. Now, we know today that we need to consider the three together, because if you focus on one without considering the other two, then you take a risk to damage the other two, especially on biodiversity and on land restoration. So we know that we need to consider the three together. And the good news is there are some solutions today that allow this, that helps us addressing the three Rio Conventions together. They are the nature-based solutions. Afforestation, reforestation, mangrove restoration, agroforestry. These solutions are ready today, they are scalable, and they are efficient. Obviously, they need to be of high quality, high integrity, as you mentioned, but they are scalable and ready today, and there is an urgent matter to act now. 75% of land in the world is degraded. How long can we wait to restore them? So nature-based solutions are key, and alongside the energy-saving solutions, they are ready today. And before I call the first signatories of this pledge, I would like to acknowledge another thing here. It's time, I believe, to step back and to realize the effort that the companies have already done into reducing their carbon emissions. It's time to congratulate ourselves what has been achieved, and we know that it's not perfect, we know it's not good enough, we know it's difficult, and we know it's challenging. But we've done a huge amount already. And I would like, ladies and gentlemen, you to welcome 6 companies that are going a step further, and they reduce their carbon emissions and they invest into nature-based solutions to create carbon sinks at the same time. Please welcome with me the first signatories, and if you can come on stage, please, ladies and gentlemen. Stéphane Paliès from Française des Jeux, Laurent Fayolas from Ardian, Cyril Garcia from Capgemini, John Paul Skelly from Lidl, Vanessa Miller-Spels from Schneider Electric, and Aken Bulgurlu from Beko. Thank you. Right. Thank you very much for being with us. It's a pleasure to welcome you on stage. As I mentioned, you're the first signatories of this pledge that you initiated, Madame la Ministre, and thank you again for that. And I would like, if you're happy with this, to invite you to explain why you're here and why you've signed and how you've committed to the fighting climate change, acting on biodiversity and land restoration at the same time, using this pledge. Stéphane Paliès, please, can you spare a few words with us?
Thank you very much. It's actually great to be here, apart from, being part of this impressive group of pioneers, companies that want to lead, and with, of course, Agnès Pannier-Runacher as a leader, as a minister too. So it's absolutely great. We at FDG United, because we are now a European company, we have been committed to carbon reduction for a long time, actually, because we did our first carbon assessment actually as early as 2007. So we've been committed for a long time. We, of course, are committed today on this trajectory of 2/3 of our... we already reduced our emission by 2/3 in terms of direct emissions, and we are aiming at reducing our Scope 3 emission too. So, of course, we do that, but as you say, it's not enough, and you can and you must do other things at the same time and not waiting to be at the end of this trajectory. So we are now working to commit and announce that actually we will devote a part of our net result to not only carbon, not only biodiversity, and I will come back to that, but also to investment in carbon sequestration. Nature-based, I understand, is better, so we'll try to do that. We're in the process of selecting what we're going to announce actually soon, this year, about that, so it's going to become very concrete soon, both in terms of global investment, again in financial terms, and in terms of first project. We strongly believe that there is a very direct link between biodiversity and carbon too, and that's why also during this forum, and actually just after this roundtable, I will announce with the support of Agnès Pannier-Runacher the 3rd edition of a game, because we're a gaming company, so what we do best are games. Games for everybody, games to talk about important issues. So we'll announce the third edition of our game on biodiversity just after this. So we're working on all fronts, and we are very proud to do that with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stéphane, for all of this, and congratulations for these new amendments. Laurent Fayolas, can you share with us what you do?
Thank you very much. Madame la Ministre, dear partners and company, first of all, I'd like to congratulate you, Madame la Ministre, to have been able to bring all those companies in that difficult topics you mentioned. We're a bit pioneers in that field, but I would say we have chosen high integrity carbon credit aligned with the ambition of Article 6.4, because quality for us is of the essence of those work. Ardian, which launched Averroa, a fund dedicated to investing in carbon sequestration projects, fully support the pledge you're launching and the initiative taken by carbon credit program and project developers to steer the market towards high quality certificate. This ensures that buyers use and declare carbon credit with responsibility, which is really necessary to strengthen the credibility of the market and enable the growth of the demand. As a participant in the voluntary carbon market, Ardian would be super willing to extend the provision of the pledge taken by the company to our sectors, and thus involve all the financial sphere to enlarge this pledge. We support investments with buyers which demonstrate a credible ambition to align with global goal of net zero emission by 2050 and follow mitigation hierarchy, which is super important: measure, reduce, and offset. In accordance, all of this with framework and regulation. We also, and I will end on this one, we also recognize a lot the role of buyers, of corporate, in supporting this integrity by using and declaring carbon credit with high quality. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laurent. And you're right in saying that Paris is leading the world again today. And thank you for that, Madame la Ministre. Vanessa, in last frame, from Schneider Electric. Please, go on.
Thank you, Stéphane, and thank you, Madame la Ministre. For Schneider Electric, signing this coalition pledge is really part of a science-based approach. I think that is really key. You've both mentioned the IPCC. We're not at a stage where we can afford to do things consequentially. We're at a stage where we need to do everything at once to be able to address climate change with the urgency that it requires. And so at Schneider, obviously, we're a company that is specialized in reduction. We're an energy efficiency company, we're an energy management company, we're an industrial automation company. So reduction is obviously first and foremost, but we've also come to realize that we cannot wait to have reduced enough to then turn around and think about removals. We need to remove as much as not as much, but we need to remove as well as we need to reduce. And for example, to just give a sense of scale, right now, all of the nature-based solutions, all of the forestry that covers, a vast proportion of the land, only absorbs 2 gigaton of carbons on a yearly basis. And the health of a forest, we know, sometimes is depleting, and we see some forests that are emitting rather than absorbing. And we need to go, according to the IPCC, to approximately 10 gigatons in about 20, 25 years. So we need to 5x the amount of removals at the same time that we will need to 5x the amount of reduction. And so this has been very clear for Schneider for many years, that we need to play on both sides. It's like the two sides of the same coin. We need to reduce and we need to remove. So we've been investing in removals for more than 15 years. We were a founder of the Livelihood Funds. And if you ran the marathon last week in Paris, well, the marathon was made I mean, all the emissions related to the marathon were neutralized with carbon removal credits coming from the livelihood funds. And in addition to the investment in nature-based solution, we're also looking to invest in engineered solution because we know that, well, there's just a limited amount of land available on planet Earth at this stage, and so both are going to be required. But not only do we buy carbon removals, we also advise companies. And so, Madame la Ministre, you mentioned EcoAct. EcoAct is part of Schneider Electric, and EcoAct advises, alongside also sustainability, Schneider's sustainability business, thousands of companies on how to approach a nature-based solution and removal portfolio, and how to have an impact also beyond climate. I like what you said about the 3 Rio Convention. I think I would add something else. Really, removals can play a role in most of SDGs. They also play a role in terms of equity, in terms of workforce. When we develop projects on mangrove, we also create jobs, and often these jobs are held by women. We have a project in India of mangrove where we planted 1 million mangrove, and 90% of the workforce is women. So I think there's also social benefits in addition to biodiversity benefits and in addition to climate benefits that are very critical to what you're helping develop.
It's a very good point. Thank you for highlighting this. I should have mentioned this. Thank you for doing that for me. Cyril Garcia from Capgemini, please.
Thank you, and first thank you, Agnès, for your commitment and leadership in this context. It's not always easy, and we should say it loud and clear. This is the right pledge at the right moment, okay? Because it's a pledge, it's a commitment that helps us to get the balance right. We need to continue to fight for reductions, and we need carbon credits. And then I think it's a matter again of getting the balance right between, my dear Stefan, reforestation and high-tech. We need carbon capture. We need to work on bio-oil. We need to work on CO2 to concrete. So I think it's particular and precisely what this pledge is stating, and it's very important. Now, the last point is the integrity. You mentioned it, but we need, and at Capgemini, we try to be organized centrally and in each and every big countries to manage it, because we had this first wave. Now we know who are the right actors, who are those who are really serious and impactful. And I think in the way we govern it and the way we will understand and evangelize, if I may say, this pledge, the integrity and the ethics of what we do is very important. But again, get the balance right, and we like the spirit of this page. I hope that in the next day we'll be more than 8 or 6 on stage to promote it. And thank you again, Agnès.
Thank you, Cyril. Jean-Paul, please, from Lidl France.
Thank you, Stefan, and thank you, Madame la Ministre, for the initiative. It's an honour for us to be here today as a first for Lidl at the Change Now Summit. Hopefully the first of many appearances for us. And as far as I know, the first time that a food retailer is also present at the summit. And we heard in the earlier session about the importance of food when it comes to carbon emissions. 30% of global emissions coming from the food sector, a requirement for 70% more food over the next couple of decades. Of course, food retail is going to have a major part to play. And we're delighted to be here, not just to showcase what we're doing, but more importantly, to collaborate and work with other companies who are leading the way, because the next stages of decarbonisation will only be possible through close collaboration. 10 years ago was a momentous occasion in Paris with the signature of the Paris Agreement. It was about 10 years ago as well that we started on our sustainability journey at Lidl, and we launched our sustainability strategy called A Better Tomorrow, or En route vers demain. We've had a lot of initiatives in place over the last 10 years or so, really focused on decarbonising our efforts. In 2020, we set very clear targets aligned to the Science Based Targets Initiative, and we committed to a reduction of 55% in our carbon emissions by 2030 across the entire Lidl group, and we committed to net zero by 2050. Since then, as I say, our focus has really been on decarbonisation within our own network of stores and distribution centres. We're very proud today that alone in France, we have 515,000 square meters of photovoltaic panels on our stores. We're one of the largest owners of solar panels in the country. We have put in place 4,800 EV charging stations across our store network. We have the largest network of charging stations across the retail sector in France. We have committed to, and we've aligned all of our buildings to ISO 50001 standards. So a lot done, and that has led to, as of last year, a reduction in our carbon emissions within the Lidl group already of 52% compared to our baseline of 2019. Something we're really proud of, but we know that that's not enough. We know there's more to do, and the next step for us is really a focus on the Scope 3 emissions, and that's going to need huge collaboration across the supply chain with our farmers that we work with our suppliers, working together collaboratively, and there's no doubt that there's a requirement, or there will be a requirement for offsetting as well as we work towards that net zero target. That's why we're delighted today to be signing up to that pledge, to continue our efforts towards carbon reduction, but also committing to offsetting as required to reach that net zero target. And I think at a time of global uncertainty, unrest, political unrest, it's more important than ever for businesses to take a stand like we're doing here today and drive the future positive change together. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jean-Paul. Well done for all of that. 52% of reduction. Impressive. Hakan, please.
Stefan, you're out of time, so I'm going to keep this very short. We are part of the problem. The appliance industry, roughly 15% of global emissions.
You're from Beko, right?
Beko,
a furniture company.
So we're the #2 producer in the world of appliances. We have cut our emissions by 50% in the past 10 years, Scope 1, 2, and 3, and we've committed to cut them to net zero by 2050. 90% of that is possible, but until we figure out how to make washing machines that don't need power or refrigerators that cool without power, we will need to get that extra 10% at the end. I mean, we know how to reduce, and we are putting all of our effort and money and capital into reducing. We produce our own power, our products are becoming more energy efficient, but that extra 10% there will have to use carbon credits. And today, personally, I've lost patience with carbon credits, because the way the world is going, with Article 6, I became hopeful that we were going into an infrastructure globally which would work. It got watered down, but now with what you're doing, what's happening, I'm more hopeful that the infrastructure will be in place when we need it. One thing is clear, excuse my language, the shit is going to hit the fan, right? We're not going to be able to stop warming quickly. And when carbon credits become mandatory, we want to have hedged our bets and really reduced our carbon exposure, but also have the infrastructure in place in a dependable, reliant, and honest, open system, which actually this is part of. So thank you for doing it, and we're happy to be part of the signatories.
Thank you, Hakan. And one takeaway, Madame la Ministre, from what Hakan said is, once the carbon credits will be mandatory, legislation can play a huge role in all of that, and we need to make sure that the carbon credits are of a high integrity before we move to there. Thank you very much. It's time to sign the pledge. It should be somewhere here. So shall we stand up, sign it, and we take a picture? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention. Thank you.
Here we go. You ready? There we go.